Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing Gears 5, and this is my Insane Difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 3-2. It is entitled Rocket Plan. So, Rocket Plan is a moderately lengthy level, and it has, I think, probably the most difficult fights that we've seen in totality for a single chapter. I mean, I know there's been difficult fights before, but I think on the whole, this chapter has fights that rank as like high up in like the number of difficulty, the difficulty scale, and repeatedly. So it's a fun chapter too, as well. So now, when you get into this room, I am going to just be fast forwarding some of the downtime because there's a segment over here where you wait nearly a minute for exposition to transpire. So I did, for everyone's convenience, I have fast forwarded that. It's somewhere over here, basically just a lot of downtime. So on this video, before every encounter that we go to, I am going to give you my advisement of which of Jack's skills you want equipped, because I have very specific ways of doing things for the fights, and I want to make sure that you don't get locked into any checkpoints in which you don't have what you want. Okay? And again, they're just advisements. They're not orders that you have to follow. Like I said, they're just recommendations. So when you come down here, this is an area that has a lot of guns. There is a torque bow, a boom shot, a long shot, and any number of good pieces of armory over here for you, or weaponry, I should say. I'm sorry. This is the torque bow. So I'm going to have the torque bow and the Lancer GL for right now, and I'm also going to be picking up the long shot. And I'm going to go back in the room that we were in a moment ago to get the ammunition for the long shot and get it a little bit higher up with ammo. And there is a section coming up where you split off with Dell. So if you want to use any of your teammates for a mule, you want to make sure that that mule is Dell. You understand why? Because you and him will be fighting without JD and Foz at one point. So if you need to switch with anybody, you want to make sure you're switched with the person that you can actually switch with, because the other guys will be too far away to do it. So I'm going to give Dell the long shot, and I'm going to just re-pick up this Lancer if I could do it. There we go. Nice. So I'm going to have Jack bring up the torque for me, and we're all set. We've got a lot of ammunition, and we've got those two components that were down there. Now, you'll want to have cloak on for the time being, and I also would recommend that you have the shock traps. The first engagement that we do is stealth. The second one we do is stealth 2, and I am going to be fully stealthing it. I will, and by which I mean both encounters, I'm going to be using cloak too. So I do feel badly every time I have to use cloak, but some of the parts up here, the enemies are really close together, so I really don't mind. Anyway, once you get onto the gantry, Foz is going to drive it over to the other side. He's the driver. And then when you get to the other side, if you want to replace your Talon with the snub, there's going to be a snub over here right next to a component box. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to be switching out my Talon for the Boltok. And why is that? It's mainly because I find the snub ineffectual, and I find the Talon has to be reloaded too much, and it's kind of weak, and I just overall like the Boltok. So no worries, just keep cloak on for the time being, because the next fight you'll avail yourself of it, and the next fight you'll avail yourself of it after that too. And even though I say fight, I do mean that they're going to be stealth sections. Now, if you want to shoot, that's perfectly fine with me. Now, this chapter does contain like upgraded elites, and they are the ones that do throw frag grenades. So when I said earlier that enemies don't throw frag grenades at you in this game, sometimes they do, and if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be those heavy elites. But up until now, like this moment in the campaign, has anyone thrown a grenade at me? I don't think they have. I honestly don't think so. That's why I say enemies very seldom throw grenades at you, because we're nearly done with the game pretty soon and no one's thrown any grenade at me. But here's the Voltok that I mentioned over here. And then on this next part, there's going to be some elites down here and a hunter, so you can pick up some more torque bow rounds from him if you want to. The part after this, though, is in a huge facility, and it reminds me of the ticker factory in Gears of War 3, because you have things moving on rails from the ceilings, and you've got people just wandering around all over the place, even though I know in that section it wasn't anything but tickers, was it? Or were there regular enemies? I'm not sure. But anyway, the hunter's over here. And he's got a torque for your taking. The torque bow has a purpose, but it's not until a specific time. Likewise, the long shot has a very specific purpose, but I've gone through this section, this particular chapter, 3 or 4 times, so I know exactly what you need so that you don't get locked into checkpoints and not have what you want, okay? So when you come over here, there's a long shot that I'm going to point at and highlight so you can see what it is. It's over here. You can have Jack bring it over to you if you want. It's a long shot right there. So if you don't have one yet, or if you want more ammo, there's one right there for you. Why haven't I picked it up? Well, the reason I didn't pick it up is because I've got plenty of ammunition for mine that Dell's carrying. So we've got a 3-er over here for the component. You don't have to go all the way up here like this. Jack could probably bring it over to you. But the next part over here, doesn't really matter what weapon you have equipped because we're not going to use guns. But make sure you have the cloak and the shock trap, as I mentioned before. Okay, so I'm going to take out a couple of these enemies, I believe 4 in number, before I start using, actually more. So when you snap into cover over here to pull this guy over, make sure that you don't snap from far away because he can hear. He also can see you from this point sometimes, but I got away with it. And look at this beautiful execution. I went behind him and Kate kicked him out from his knee like this and stabbed him. It's so fucking beautiful. She has a lot of awesome animations. It's wonderful. So that's the first kill. Here's the second kill. After you kill him, run over to this one quickly and take him out, and then what you want to do is double back, and you can run at these ladders and you don't have to press X. It'll snap you into the ladder. It's pretty goddamn cool. But when you come up here, you want to just take this guy out, and then after you take this one out, this is the 4th enemy we've taken out, Foz will say that more drones have come, which basically means you've got more stealth enemies to kill in a stealthy way. They come from the opposite side of the area, top or bottom depending on where you are. So it is random. So when you come up here, snap into cover to the right like that, wait till he turns around, take him out, and after this kill, I'm going to start using cloak. I'm going to get up as close as I can, and I think the number of enemies that we're going to kill is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But do you see the far left, the stairs on which a guy came up? Make sure that he's around over here so you can have enemies close to one another. So see all these ones? We're going to take all of these ones out, and then that will have removed all of the top enemies from these catwalks. Then we can start taking out the final 3 of these ones over here. Okay? So now I'm going to come back this way, and then we're going to be moving through the middle portion of the area through the red sand, and I'm going to take care of the guy on the left. Okay? Now, when you're crouched below where he stands, he does not see you, but you need to make sure that he turns around before you execute him, obviously. Sometimes you get this weirdness where you can execute him from below. Like below, it'll just give you the prompt from down here. But for some reason, I didn't get it. I've never been seen doing what you're going to see me do right here either, so it's quite safe. But and you can use the cloak if you want to right now to make sure that nothing bad happens. But I don't like to waste too much of people's time with the regeneration that occurs when you're in a fight because it's just too long. Now I tried to attack these guys from the other side of the room, but I found that this side is much better. Okay, so after you kill the first one, wait till they both move around and turn around, and then you want to just come up here and just like stand right about here, and then you want to wait until they both turn around, especially the guy to the right, so that you can roadie run up and then up the stairs to the left. And then what happens on this is that once you kill the last enemy on this part, there's going to be some enemies coming in through the double doors. There's 3 shotgunners that come in through the double doors. And if this is your last kill up here, you're going to run right into them. So you do not want to have this guy be your last kill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a shot grenade right in front of the door, and then I'm going to kill this fucker. And then since he's the last one, and since I'm not near the platform to aggro the last enemies, I'm going to get that increased, or rather decreased regeneration time for the shock trap. So it goes a little bit faster. So I'm going to place one more near the door. And then as you approach the stairs, you'll hear them come. So just have a bit of patience and just head to the right. Watch. You'll approach it. You just approach it and then they come. But those 2 shock traps will take care of everything. You don't get a checkpoint there, and you need to play it safe. So I think the safest way is what I showed you right there, because the shock traps completely killed those enemies, and we had to do nothing, not even lift a finger. On this part, though, you're definitely going to have to do more than lift a finger. So when you get over here, look at the ceiling, because there's a big hole in the ceiling. That is where juvies jump down from, right behind where I was, and I'll show you it in a moment. Now, you can get on the turret if you want, but what I'm going to show you is that putting these shock grenades over here is a much better idea than just staying on the turret, and I will show you the better spot to stay to. Now, what type of spots are there? There's the turret location. You're going to get mauled though on there and overrun at some point. There's also the room to the up and to the right where the mulcher is, and that is not a good idea. Every time I went into that room, I would have my teammates all fall in combat because you're not contributing enough to the fight. So it's a bad idea to stay in that room. You don't even need the mulcher. So the best place that I found to hunker down is at the far end by these double doors that you come in at. So I placed 2 shock grenades down on the ground, and I also placed a couple of frag grenades on the floor. Now, the first moment that you hear your first shock grenade detonate, you'll have time to it will be time rather to put a new one down. So place one near to you somewhere so that the swarmers and the juvies, if they come close, they'll get stunned and get slowed down and hopefully killed depending on how much HP they have. So the next wave after the juvies and the poppers is going to be the elites, the grenadiers. So that's going to be difficult. Now, after you have set 3 shock grenades down, you want to switch to the flash, and also keep that stim always at the ready for any moment where you think that the elites could possibly kill you if you go out to aim at them. And that's a good deal, because by the time that the warden comes down here, you want to make sure if you do need an out and you don't have the flash, you want to make sure that you definitely have the ability to use stim, because although it's possible sometimes to iframe through his roll, I mean his hits with his, I don't know what his weapon is, but those sticks that he has, it's very difficult to roll through those, because he just abuses you with those. So the best ways to get out of that situation would be to flash him and then run past him, or just use stim and then run past him. Now here he is, winding his goddamn fucking horn. You want to flash him and then hit him with. Hopefully Jack didn't get in the way there. No, it looks like I did. Oh, good damage right there. You're not going to see too good of damage on him if you use a torque bow and you don't hit him in the head, though. So if you're not sure about your aiming ability far away, definitely fall back on those missiles. Now here he is. He's coming over here. See him? But I've got stim, and even if I hadn't killed him right there, if he had come close, I could have just stemmed my way past him, and I wouldn't have got killed. Now, you also might have a hunter remaining at the end of the fight. I currently do, but my team ends up taking care of him. So that is the best spot that I found, because you can still contribute to the battle. Your teammates don't fall too often, and if they do, it's not like they all fall and cause you a big problem, even though you do have stim. But you want to make sure that you manage your abilities appropriately there. And it really isn't that hard anyway, because the warden takes quite a while to walk down to you. And by the time he does, you should definitely be having the flash recharged all the way. And the stim should be ready to go too. And even if it's not, by the time he catches up with you, it should be. Now, of course, any number of bad things can happen, but I'm looking at that turret again, and I would definitely say do not get on that turret. What comes next over here, I need to describe it in extremely detailed way, so that everybody, if they're wanting to follow my strategy, will be able to do it, and know what I'm doing at all times over here. This section that's coming up is quite difficult, but it's got decent checkpoints. They're not the best, but they could be a whole heck of a lot worse. So I am going to pick up this long shot, and on the opposite platform on the tracks, I'm going to place 2 shock grenades, and that is for the pouncers that spawn once you kick the satellite or the missile, whatever it happens to be. I'm not sure right now, but I definitely would say that you want to shock these pouncers, and then when you get control of your character, you want to freeze them, and then you want to grenade tag, kill them, and then you want to get out of the way. That's the way to kill one of them, and then the other one is you'll just have to chase them down, or you can do the same thing if you like. But before you get onto this orange platform here, make sure you switch to the flash ability of Jack. For some reason, when you get on this, if you want to switch, you have to go into the menu. So traditionally, if you want to do it the normal way, you have to make sure that you're not on this. So I think it might be a bug or something, but you can still switch if you go into the select menu and select what you want. Okay. Now it's crucial that you stun these pouncers, and it's also imperative, like the utmost imperative, that you freeze them when they're shocked, because that is the only way of keeping a fast enemy down like that. And if you're not holding the grenade, you have to switch to something else. It doesn't work either. So you have to be holding the grenade. Jack always gets hit here for some reason. But you want to go through the motions over here. And then when you get control of your character and you're actually facing the pouncers, I don't know if you have to aim at the one you want, or if you can just use like the spread effect of it, and it will freeze the pouncers. I aim a little bit, and then I run up to it and just place the grenade. It will always kill the one to the right. Sometimes, though, the placement of it doesn't work out for you because Jack didn't put it in the right place that you wanted to. Sometimes, just shit can happen, as you well know, in a game like this. But Back here there is a mulcher if you want. The mulcher is a decent weapon, but when you have it, you can't roll out of the way. So make sure you have stim if you're going to be using that. And after this, you want to be carrying the Lancer GL as well as the torque bow, and you want to be using Dell as your mule to carry the. And I should have said this a bit earlier, but there's plenty of time to say it. You want Dell to be your mule to carry the long shot so that you could switch it back with him, because your teammates split up, and it's invariably Dell that comes with you at a certain point where you can switch back to the long shot. Now, all of these things, they're just optional, but I found that I preferred to do it a certain way like this. I preferred to use the torque bow and the Lancer combination leading up to the final part where you've got a height advantage and you can use the long shot. So right now, before you get back to the lift, you want to keep stim on and you want to switch back to the shock ability. Now, why is that so important? It really isn't that important, but I found that there's no use for anything else up until you use the shock grenades, until you actually use them. So that's the key there. So you want to get back on the gondola. You get another checkpoint over here. So it's very kind with the checkpoints. And then once you start moving right across the way from behind that green barrier, you're gonna have a couple of dog shitting the swarmers. And this is a difficult part because once the Scion shows up with his bastion, it can be a shit fest for you, primarily because you're in a position where he can get at you quite easily, no matter where you're at on this lift over here. But you're only vulnerable for a certain amount of time. They usually like to go with the ladders too, but at about this time when he lifts you up here like this, you want to switch to your torque, and you'll hear two growls. After the second growl, you'll see the bastion coming from under the missile to the left, from left to right. Right to left. Here he is, right over here. You want to hit this thing. Try to hit it. It's hard to hit it with the torque, but when you nail him like that, you feel really good about yourself. And I think we hit him twice. That's all you needed to do. I still think that that's ridiculous, that a torque bow has to have 2 shots for a bastion, but it is what it is, I guess, But at about this time, you want to just hang back, and if you can get any shots at the drop shot Scion, go for it, but don't really worry too much about it because you don't want to waste too much ammunition just trying to hit him when there's so much of your visibility being obstructed by all of these objects over here. Okay, so when you get over here with Dell, you want to switch from the well, you don't have to. You can keep your stuff on for now, but you want to switch out your 4 frag grenades or however many you have for the 2 flame grenades, and that's going to be because there's going to be some 2 of the Grenadier. Fuck yeah, that was nice. I took a lot of risk there, but I used stim to protect myself. Here are the flames. Don't put any grenade tagging near the staircase, the top of it, because the drop shotter will hit those and ruin it for you. But sorry, I had a cough earlier. The shock grenades do not get ruined by anything. So what I do now is I just hang back, and the only thing that could potentially kill you is the drop shotter, but you have enough clearance for that. We actually did have a frag grenade thrown into my campaign, so that's one of the rare opportunities of seeing a frag grenade on my guide. But just keep chilling out back here. Wait for the dude to come up. He will eventually. When the shock bots start dispersing, you know he's coming. There he is, completely chunkified, and then the next one should be coming on his heels momentarily. And these Inferno grenades look really good. And he just fell off for some reason. That was really lucky. After that, you want to take control back, get your frag grenades back, pick up this long shot, but not before you pick up another weapon to switch out with Dell so you can maximize on your long shot ammo. Like for instance, I'm going to pick this up, get my long shot from Dell, and then go pick up that extra ammo on the ground right over here. Do only 2 enemies come up here? Like, is that categorical truth? It is. It's empirical, and you have nothing to worry about. I've got killed a lot of times up here though, because my my attention is going in so many different directions, and I had to make sure that nobody was coming up here. So when my frag grenades kept getting detonated by the drop shotter, I got really upset. But if you can kill him before this part over here, it's a cakewalk. And then after this, it's just picking guys off, but you don't have the best cover, and you have to sometimes resort to using the this move here. What's it called? Shield. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, you know the move where you can highlight the locations of enemies, because I just can't plain see where anybody is. So I did have to use that. Is it called Flash? Or no, it's not called Flash. You'd be surprised if you're doing commentaries. You mind blank so often it's not funny, and you later watch the video and you think to yourself, how could you have forgotten that word? But anyway, quite a lot of folks down there, don't you think? You'd be right if you said that. And after this, there's a pair of flocks that come. And I don't know that have we dealt with 2 flocks outside of a side mission? Because I don't think we have. Pulse was the word I was thinking of a moment ago. Okay, so once everybody's dead, you want to hang up your gear for now, because you're a gear of war. What does that even fucking mean, gear of war? I was thinking about that too. Why did they take out the word gears of war? Were they just trying to be concise, or were they trying to to me, when I saw that they took out the words of war, to me it seemed like they were trying to obscure themselves a little bit and distance them from the actual thing that they're making. So that sort of distancing themselves from what you should be proud of is kind of strange to me, and I lost a little bit of respect thinking about that. But that's probably not what actually happened. I'm not sure. But these flocks they take a lot of damage, and when they do hit you, and there's other leeches running around, it is quite easy to get killed by these things. But it's probably the least enjoyable enemy in this game to fight outside of a reject. Robots, rejects, like flocks, it's just, they're not fun to fight at all, to me personally. And it's a damn shame. Just things like this happening, And what is your reward for clearing Act 3? Well, you get the grandeur of Act 4. You get Gears of War in its basic form, with all the linearity, with all the exciting fights, without, going on a fucking skiff, commiserating with your buddy. To be honest, I don't even know what JD did that they were upset with him at a certain point, because I tried to watch the cutscenes the first time I played the game, but I gave up. They're too silly. They're too stupid. I hate the sound of these fucking characters. I hope you don't hate the sound of my voice, but these characters are so... they're children. Just like Paddock says, they're fucking children. What is it that you have to shy away from portraying, men and women and not children? I don't know, but it's something to think on, perhaps. I wanted to say, though, before I ended that talk about the flock, is that this whole area has a lot of good fights on them. And the checkpoints that you're given, like when you get them, you're actually quite grateful for them. But things like having to repeatedly kick an object for a boss to appear, like those pouncers did, That's something that will probably always happen in Gears of War. But this chapter in particular has just a lot of good, challenging gunfights, and the majority of them are quite fun. Like this here, fighting two flocks is never fun. And it's not fun because it's difficult. It's just fun because, not fun because those enemies aren't fun. So anyway, get back on the lift, and it looks like we've got a long shot for ourselves as well as the Lancer GL. So that's what we're doing now, and we are going to be going back the way that we came originally. And the next part is one of those parts where you're sliding down a hill. I love those parts. I can't get enough of those parts. But I was thinking to myself, did one team make acts 1 and 4, and then another team made acts 2 and 3 because they're the 2 and 3 have this openness to them, whereas 1 and 4 have this straightforwardness to them, and they're, I think, objectively better and a lot more fun. And I just have to think of myself, why are we the guinea pigs that have to go through the experimentation of this? Is it like, do you not know that that's not fun and that's not the way that you should do it? It's very strange. You don't have to go around on a skiff. You don't have to do that. But anyway, coming down here now, we've got about 4 or 5. I never know what to call these enemies anymore because they were always called grubs or locusts or something. Now I'm just calling them swarmers. Whatever. I mean, whatever the hell they are. They're 6 feet, monsters or lizard people. Not sure exactly, but the reason I used stim a moment ago was that these enemies have the potential to instantly kill you with their marxes if you're close enough to them. So be quite careful on that. And then there is a lull that takes place in between that wave and the next wave, provided that you do not touch the floor down there by sliding down there. So you can get the advantage here of the decreased cooldown speeds, so that you don't have to wait the exorbitant amount of time that you would normally if you were actually in gunfights. So I took that advantage and I placed a couple of shock grenades down there. I do apologize if I've used shock grenades too much and maybe you wanted to see other things. Once I get the detonator ability for hijack and just finish out everything, I would like to show them off a little bit more. I think the idea of hijacking an enemy and then with that detonator special feature it blows up, I think that's really neat. But time and time again, I'm always so nervous. There's a buzzsaw scion down here. I'm always so nervous when I go around this game because I don't want to get locked into a checkpoint that's going to cause me grief as I keep redoing the checkpoint over and over, because I'm not someone who just speeds through a game. I cannot, it's not physically possible for me to be a guide shooter. I can't get a game up the next day when it comes out. It's just not possible, and I don't know how people do it. I really don't. They must have had it for weeks or something, because I just can't understand how that could actually take place, where the game comes out like on the 10th and then you have content up on the 11th. I don't understand how that's possible, quite honestly, unless you're working your fingers to the grind without any break. But what I was going to say about that, and I hope I did say it as best as I could. Now I've got. Now I can't even remember what I was gonna say. Damn it all. I think it was just something to the effect that I like to, when I get to a checkpoint, I like to sample it. I like to survey it. I like to sip at it like a fine wine, and I like to let it just happen and see what's naturally around and see what I can do. And that's why you might see quite a few edits on my videos. There are going to be a lot of edits. What I try to do though is try to memorize the sections as much as I can to minimize the editing, so that you don't have to see all the match cuts. But that's what the match cuts are for. They're for that you don't have to see where I'm editing this stuff. Okay. But anyway, I think what we have coming up, we do have a Harambe coming up, but he's not the next thing exactly that is going to be coming up. So I'm going to race down here like it's a, I don't know, like it's a fucking marathon, and then there's a component over here. You want to pick that one up, get a little upgrade for yourself there. And then as we come over here, we're going to be doing another downhill sliding section, but there are fewer enemies this time. And I think you're a little further back, so you might not be getting killed in one shot. I wouldn't think, but it's right over yonder actually. There's going to be a point of interest, and then we are going to take a right and then do the section, and then Harambe should be coming up pretty soon. So as was mentioned, we do have a Harambe fight coming up, or Harambe, as the case may be. The pronunciation equates to dog shit regardless. And what I would bring if I were you, stim is a no-brainer. What you want beyond that is up to you. The shock is great to freeze shock him. And then of course you've got the priority. The USPS priority mail. What am I thinking? The proximity mines. So what you want to do is get to this next checkpoint over here. There is a medium explosive ammo box over there. I'll give you 2 if you want. I'm already full up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch around my guns with my team so I can get the maximum amount of ammo from my current weapon. I'm going to, like I said, secure this checkpoint, and then I'm going to double back, temporarily switch my long shot for the boom shot over here, because Harambe takes well to explosive weapons, and the cankers are mainly what's going to kill you for Harambe. Now you cannot put proximity mines on, or shot grenades on, the red sand, but there is sort of a little tech. Get the fuck out of the way, you goddamn pig. There's such that you can do where you break one of these crates, and then the spot where the crate was, it sometimes lets you put a mine there for yourself. So that's what I've been doing over here. Now I'm gonna again get the goddamn hell out of the way, you fucking faggot. I'm gonna well, once I get recovered and once I get everything cooled down, cool my jets, as they say. And I'm in a good mood, actually. I love playing this game. It's a fun game. You know, it's an actual game, and I appreciate that. I'm going to switch to flash, stim, and then I'm going to put my grenade on. I'm going to run at Harambe, activate the flash to flash freeze him, and then I'm going to stick him with a grenade, and then I'm going to get the hell out of the way, and we're going to reap the rewards of the damage that we've done to him. Now, that is a technique that will deal you a lot of damage to this this particular bastard over here. You do have environmental things that you can react with. See his HP? We did a good amount. How much would you say that is? Like a fourth? It's pretty decent of damage, but I feel like here's the thing about Harambe. He's a tank. We all know he's a tank, but it just seems to me like he's more of a tank than he's ever been on this particular section. And is it just me? Because I'm getting that vibe. I just don't know for sure. Because sometimes after I do that technique where I freeze him and then put a grenade on him, because he's particularly vulnerable when he's frozen. I know I'm not putting it on the weak spot directly, but maybe that's the case. But still, he's got an amount of HP over here that it just doesn't make sense in view of the other Harambe HP bars that we've seen when we've fought this guy. So what you need to do is just shoot him when he exposes his core, and then you need to shoot him again with the boom shot to make sure that those cankers get killed, because those cankers will kill you fast with just mercilessness. So you might see what I'm doing. You notice what I'm doing. I'm kind of sizing him up. I'm about to charge him again. Jack actually failed to freeze him for some reason, because he was it looks like in hindsight he was using the laser. So I almost got grabbed by Harambe, and you don't want to know what happens after that to a young woman like that, and a Harambe who is supposed to be dead. He's supposed to be dead since what, 2016? Fucking piece of shit, grabbing kids. But when you come back here and you see that they've left this area open, a smile might appear on your face, because you think to yourself, are you whoever made this, are you serious? You're allowing me to come back here, and you're allowing him not to be able to fit through the gap in the door. So it's completely trivialized by that door over there if you want to. But anyway, that's the fight finished. I'm going to switch back my boom shot for the long shot, and then I'm going to do that little switcheroo trick with the grenade lancer, and then kind of an awkward name for that weapon, but I'm going to be picking up everything that I can over here. There is a mulcher, and on the other side of the field of sand there is another boom shot if you want to, but the boom shot is not the saving grace that you might think. I would submit that the boom shot has never been a saving grace of anything. It's a powerful weapon, but it appears to do more than it does, is what I would say about that. But yeah, that Harambe fight, where does he get all that HP? It's very strange. I don't understand it personally. Okay, onwards and upwards for our campaign over here. Sorry about that. I'm having to do this commentary in parts because this video is so fucking long. The chapter is long, and not only is the chapter long, but the act is a bloated mess, just like the previous chapter was, or excuse me, the previous act was. So essentially what Gears 5 is one great act at the beginning, two bloated sections in the middle, basically dog shit, and then a fourth and final act that mirrors the enjoyment that you'll probably have on this game that you had in the first act. So bookended by two great acts, but filled with dog shit, and it's very sad. I'm very, very sad about that. And it's not that it's not a fun game, it's just that there's a lot of tasks that have to be done to do what I want to have done on this campaign. For instance, we've got side missions coming up right after we leave this place. So I didn't mention that, but you probably could guess that we're doing more side missions. And they're going to be the Scavengers missions. There's 3 of them. And essentially Paddock needs your help. He's still calling you a child, and yet he's asking for your help. But that's just good old Paddock, I guess. There's a couple of enjoyable fights on these Scavengers, but they are... I think one of them is pretty damn easy. The other ones can be pretty challenging. One is in a non-enjoyable way because you've got a snatcher, and the other one is a good one because you have the disappearing hunters. They can now shield themselves with a cloak-like device, because for some reason on this mission, it's been intimated by one of the characters that it started off with the claw, that the killing of the matriarch by Kate has caused some sort of a new intelligence to blossom within the hive mind of the locusts, something like that. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's something to that effect. You are going to want to have a torque bow for this next part, but there's going to be torque bows coming out of every conceivable spot on this next area. Now there is a torque bow over here in the bushes that I'm going to show you. I'm going to put down my long shot. The next fight is not a long shot sort of fight. It's a Lancer GL sort of fight and a torque bow sort of fight. So even though there's a lot of torque bows, you can still get one early on. And then after the fight, you can give one to every one of your teammates if you want to. I did, just to see how it would work. Now, the next thing on the agenda is I just wanted to show you where the snub relic was. It's right over here because we're right next to it, and I did want to pick it up. I know I haven't showcased all of the relic weapons, but you might want to check into those because whenever you see one of these Crimson Omens, it's the location of one of the snub, one of the relics, and this one happens to be the snub relic, which fires 2 shots for every one that it used to do. So it's actually really nice. And we can ditch what we had before, what was it, a Boltac? The Boltac is good. I'll take the Boltac over the Talon. The Talon's garbage. But there's some hard shit coming up on this part with some wind flares, and it's sections that you just don't want to do over again. So I tried my best to do everything I could, and I actually did do a couple of parts over, and I did one of the wind flare sections over once, and we're talking about the first wind flare. I'm not sure why it's telling me the harbor docks is a new location when we've already cleared that area. Must be part of the bug that this game has. I'm not sure, but we've already been there, we've done it, we have the Slayer upgrade. So this set of missions, this set of 3 missions, is that accurate? Well, whatever it is, this series of 3 missions for Paddock is going to get you the detonator implant for the hijack ability. My opinion on it, I was really disappointed about it, but I can't talk about my disappointment right now because I do want to talk about this fight over here because this is a challenging fight. But there's an area that you can go to over here that's rather reminiscent of a section in Gears of War 4 where you could backtrack. You know that huge fight at the museum or whatever? And then, yeah, you remember that one, right? Anyway, I'm going to put a couple of shock traps over here, and then I'm going to place 2 frag grenades because one of the hunters spawns right here, or actually he drops right there. Unfortunately, 1 frag won't kill him. So it's like, are you kidding me? 1 won't fucking kill him. Will 1 fire grenade kill him? Possibly. I don't know. I really don't know. But it kind of maddens me that it takes 2 to kill these fucking hunters. So you approach the door, and then what I do is I clear a couple of enemies, and then what you want to do is you want to run to the area that you entered this place in. See how they cloak like that and decloak? You can't hit them when they're invisible. You can see them a little bit, but you can't hit them. Why now do you want to move? Well, first of all, it's an ambush by the nature of the whole setup. And at some point, one of these pods, I don't even know where it is. I think it's somewhere that you can't even interact with it. Now, the stuttering that you see is because the game doesn't really think that I should be coming over here. But at some point about midway through the fight, you'll hear a screamer, and then all the pods will start bursting. So you don't want to be in that area that you start at because you're going to get fucked. So you want to stay over here. Now, the problem with being over here is that sometimes you have to revive your team, which is not a big deal that much. But it has the cardinal, the crucible issue of, well, you can't aim over your fucking left shoulder, so you have to expose yourself, which is what it is. But the nice thing is they don't pay much mind to you at all, so you can flame them, use your torque as much as you want to. I don't think you need to go easy with the grenades because I'll show you a spot where we can refill those after this fight. But this is a pretty challenging fight, but it really vexes me where the screamer starts at, I don't know, because if you could pop that one, you would mitigate that amount of challenge and nonsense. But I think it's just part of the fight that you have no control over, quite honestly. So it's not that difficult. It really isn't. It's a good challenge. Is what it is. The next thing that we're gonna do is it's less fair because your positioning is pretty terrible, and you've got a snatcher. So you want to come up here and pick this circuit board up. There's a torque right next to the desk on that dude down there. But I'm telling you, there's like 8 torque bows around to just give all your teammates the torque bows. There's also a boom shot somewhere around in this area you can give to one of your teammates or for yourself, and if you want to. And, the detonator implant. When you get that, what it does is, for the... I barely use this enough to even know what it's called, but it's called the hijack, right? The hijack ability. So you hijack an enemy, but once you hijack it, it explodes. Now, hold on a second. Over here, this is a trap. So if you want to torque this, and that will prevent any of the screamers from messing with you. Kate will say something like, "Oh shit," but it's nothing. It's just part of the dialogue. And then here's your refill for any explosives that you need. But the detonator implant was really disappointing to me because once you put it on the enemy, all it does is just the enemy will explode after he legitimately dies. He doesn't die. He doesn't explode after the hijack is over, which would have been more ideal because after the hijack ends, he's going to be coming after you. So it's just that a hijacked enemy is going to explode. Big deal. It just really disappointed me personally. But it's a good move. It's a good ability. But I'm really interested to play this game without any of the skills. Just play like regular Gears without the skills on the next run. No coming to every fight and putting detonators down like I like to do. And I really do like to do that. But I'm interested in trying that. Okay, so that's the first Scavengers mission. The second one is beyond the bridge. Over here, they're gonna raise it for us. Your teammates are going to probably insist that you keep moving forward, but just don't worry. Just do your own thing over here. You have access to it. You want the shock grenades for this part coming up over here. The shock traps, and you want torques and possibly some grenades tagged to the ground because you're going to get overrun by a snatcher and some juvies, and it's very easy to die because of the snatcher and how devastating his attacks can be. Okay, so we're going to come up to this artillery up here, up and to the right. So the train turntable is the destination ultimately, but I just wanted to do all the tasks for right now. Okay, so you're gonna come up here. You're gonna take one of your. What is this? Oh, this is the one where the person's trapped in the sack. So before you do that, you want to make sure that you place some shock traps in the area. And I think the best spots for those would be right over here because a lot of juvies drop down over here. And ideally, I want to shock trap the snatcher to deal as much damage to him as I possibly can. Because remember earlier on that snatcher fight, we owned it. And it was glorious to be able to shock him and do so much good stuff like instantly. But definitely, you always want to take advantage of the fact that before a fight starts, your regen time for all your skills is like halved. So, and in between, like the lulls between waves, those are always halved too because otherwise you have to wait a long time. So he's going to go in the building. His friends are in pods up there. I think up here is a decent spot, but if you want to, you can go all the way down the stairs where you started. I didn't really try to deal with the snatcher down there. So if you want to, you can. I just found that coming up here and placing the shock traps as I've done with the torque bow and getting all this damage to him is pretty decent. Ideally, you may want to put some shock, not a shock trap, but some grenades on that little crater area in the middle of the place where he lands. But you want to be on him the second you see him on the roof. Take advantage of every moment where he's grabbing your teammate, because that means he's not going to be attacking and you can move out of the way and reposition yourself and then, you know, free the teammate. You've just got to be aware of the juvies, and, you know, distance is key on these snatchers. They've been toned down, which is good. We've got some poppers over here, you know, the ones with the grenades, so you do need to be careful of those, but they do give you a good startup noise to indicate what they're all, you know, what they're all doing as far as coming over to you with grenades on their shoulders. And he's actually taking quite a lot of damage. That took a lot to do, and it's sort of like normal gear shenanigans for that fight, which is to say, it's a fairly fun fight. It's a little cheap, but it's just inevitably cheap, you know. So free all the what are these people called? The ruffians, or I'm not sure, but, you know, just do what you need to. Come up here for the second circuit board, and then before you leave, there's some parts to the right over here. For the next mission, you're probably not going to need to put anything down in preparation, because you're just going to be dealing with 2 flocks that after a certain amount of time will disappear and just move out of the way, and then you'll have some rejects, and then the flocks will return, and then the fight will be done. And you get a mech too, so it's pretty decent. The mech's powerful. I'll tell you how to use the modes, because when you're using the mech, it starts out with its regular machine gun fire, but if you press A, it will go into a locked position where you can't move, but it has a missile ability, and you get like 4 missile shots per needing to reload, and you want to make sure that you nail your reloads, your active reloads, to get, you know, more damage on it. And there's just plenty of ammunition for everything over here. I think the flock damage has been moderated a little bit to make sure that you can't kill it before the rejects get into here. So I'm going to take my regular gear over here, because we don't really need anything, you know. This isn't too bad. But the mech is in here. I did find a torque in this area too, if you're in want of that. So here's the fight. They're pretty close at first, but I like to use the rockets on them, because they don't require me to be mobile too much, whereas the rejects, you know, they can get at you. Both can get at you, but look how fast they retreat with the use of those missiles. So I'm going to switch back to my chain gun, 500 ammunition for it. We shouldn't have a problem. I am going to jump off. You can also use it it can also be used as cover too, which is really nice. But I'm going to use my torque over here just a couple times, because I know I have a refill for the torque over here. Oh, and then after this, we're going to be doing the finale, I believe it is, for the... You'll have to forgive me. I'm recovering from having a chest cold, which lasted a few days, and it's finally gone. But I thought it was like because I was having respiratory problems with it, because my chest had so much mucus in it. So I used like after about a box and a half of Mucinex, it cleared itself up completely. So it wasn't, you know, the virus that's going around, even though I kind of thought it was at first, because you think you have the virus. Everybody thinks they have the virus now. Everybody goes around with masks on. So no, it wasn't COVID-19 or whatever. No. Anyway, is it done? Is it done? Oh, the flocks have to come back, don't they? Yep, here we go. The next part, you will want to have the shock traps, and basically my default pretty much is shock traps and stim. Like, it's not flash, even though I've got the nice flash freeze. It's not that. It's the detonator. It's the flash. I mean, sorry, the shock traps. The shock traps are so damn good. I wish you could use 3 of them. But I like using everything in tandem with one another and being creative. And I'm surprised that I do like to do that. But it's sort of how you play Dead Space. How I used to play Dead Space 2, planting mines all around the area to end a fight before it even starts, practically. I loved to do that on my hardcore run when I did it. It was really fun. It took a lot of thought, but I really enjoyed my time doing that. And it was frustrating, but rewarding in the end. When the hell was that? That was like 8 years ago? Damn. Okay, so this is it. Here we go. This is the detonator implant ability. Hijacked enemies explode on death. Now I'm going to hijack one of these enemies coming up. It's going to be a Scion, actually, and I'm going to have to actually stick a grenade on him because, like I said, when the hijack is over, he's coming for you. So you have to wait until he's dead to actually get him to explode. And then when he explodes, who the fuck cares? It doesn't do anything. I mean, maybe if somebody's next to him, they might get damaged a little bit. But an elite grenadier, they're not gonna die. Or a hunter, they take 2 grenades to blow up. That's not gonna do anything. And you should see the explosion. It's a weak explosion too, from the look of it. Dog Shit City Part 1 of 2 over here. Very sad to see this. They want you to have so much elasticity with your movement that doesn't exist over here. So you need to watch out for the dark tornado-like things, because those are the things that kill you. You can get damaged from the sand formations when they're hot. And they're red and hot, but otherwise you just need to watch out for those tornadoes and just keep moving around. And believe it or not, this is the easier of the 2. The second one is just like, shit, you fucking idiots. Why are you making me do trash? I'm already playing your trash game. Now, I'm bumping into a lot of things that on purpose, kind of. I'm trying to bump around so that I don't get hit. But even under here, I have been hit under here too, so nowhere is safe. You got to wait until the game lets you in. It's pretty sad. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than this. I mean, you're playing Gears of War, right? I thought I was, but no, this is like Gay of War 5. Gay 5. The Jackson 5. There's something over there, but I'm not going to interact with it. Here's the Condor crash site. So remember what I mentioned. You want to have those detonators ready. And you want to try to kick the trackers that come at you, because if you do that, they will give you shock grenades, which you can use, and I'll show you that I do use them in a certain way. So how exactly do I use those shock grenades? Well, once you've finish with the robots over here, you're going to be coming back, and they have this little gimmick where they spawn 2 of the guardians, the ones with the shields that are not corrupted, and they spawn out of these. See, I'm trying to kick a couple of the trackers. Now I put my shock grenades right where I'm aiming now to deal some damage to those robots, but I'm not letting the balls go away without trying to get a kick or 2 on them so I can get myself a shock grenade. Now, what's the deal about the shock grenades? Well, it's just that I want to place 1 shock grenade on each of these spawning little pods. I'm going to put 1 shock grenade by each pod, and I'm going to put 1 shock trap by each pod too, to hopefully minimize how much we have to fight. So there are these things right here. I'll show you in a minute. After you get your components, you won't have to do much work. And anytime you're worried about fighting bastions, those shock traps are terrific for neutralizing them quickly. So we've got some piece of shit back here clipping on something, I'm not sure, but we'll finish him off. Everybody's involved. And since this is a lull between two waves, you can have reduced regeneration time. So that's why I allow this on my guides, because it's pretty brief. So a shock trap right there for the first Guardian, and a shock grenade. And then the same for this one, because one comes out of here too. I'm not sure the spawning rate of it, but I know that they come right there, so that's what they're going to get a piece. And the only reason I'm using shock grenades, I think I mentioned, I just want to make sure that I come away from here with my regular 4 frag grenades so that I'm covered on that particular score. Anyway, so they spawn after you come out of this, or it's also on a timer too, possibly. So, there's a 5 one. So I want to quickly show you how they come out of here. But see how I like to be on top of things like that, and then you don't even have to do the fight practically. So I think it's going to be really interesting to do this on Inconceivable if they have that, without using any abilities, and just fight at regular gears. Call it Gears of War 5. And now we have a secondary mission complete for the downed Condors. Are you excited about that? For the next encounter, you want the hijack and cloak, and then you can just switch it. And if you're worried about the heavy on the next fight, you can freeze him and then use these on him, and he won't last but just a couple of seconds, so you won't need to worry about him. So just collect both of those and then put them on one of your stow positions here, and then just lug all your gear. What weapons do you want for this? You'll probably want a long shot and a Lancer GL. It's been a long time since we used the regular Lancer, hasn't it? But there's just a fragment of a piece over here. There's also an encounter up and to the right if you want the M-Bar relic. You have to fight a couple of people to do that. I believe that's where that is over there, but I don't give a shit about the weapon that I mentioned, because it's shit, so why would I care about shit? Alright, come on over here. You need to do that location first, though, okay? Because when you come away from this and you're doing Dogshit City 2 of 2, that second Wind Flare course, they won't let you go over there unless you've already done the Wind Flare section coming back. So you need to do that first. Sorry, I needed to say that. But if you're not interested, you can come back later and do it. I'm just saying, if you want to make sure about it, do it first. Okay, so here's the actual train turntable over here. And there's several spawns over here for these enemies. Some are a little bit more challenging than the others. I'm not sure which one I ended up getting over here for this run, but we're all going to come on in here with our gear. Can you imagine carrying all this shit? And then opening this door with one hand, carrying all that fucking gear along with your wardrobe and all that shit. Rolling to with all that. So funny. But anyway, this is one of the easier spawns over here when there's 2 of them up here. One of them will turn, and then you could start moving. You want to try to kill as many as you can without using the cloak, and then default to the cloak so that you can come back here, and then you wouldn't know it, but right now there is a heavy coming up on a lift. So he's coming up and to the right. It's a Scion with a mulcher, so he's gonna fuck you up so bad that you need to be careful, and you need to make sure that you use the hijack when you come back, or something, freeze him or do something, because he's going to nail you. I've been pincered in between this 2 scions over here, and I thought I would live, and no, you can't. So I'm going to hijack him, and then basically I don't need him to kill enemies for me. I just need him dead. So I'm going to stick this on him, and then he's almost dead. And I'm going to put just a couple more bullets in him, and then he's dead. And then he explodes. Big deal. You know? Big deal. But at this point, you want to use your sniper rifle. There's going to be some enemies. There's a little cubby hole up, all the way up and to the left, where some elite guards. See, this guy's clipping. This bastard can move, too. This one here, he's very fast, too. He's probably the most dangerous scion, you know. But you want to try... Holy shit, do you see all those chunks just go flying off into the abyss over there? But there are some enemies up and to the left in that cubbyhole that I mentioned that are elite grenadiers. Like elites. And they're the ones that will throw some grenades at you. I know in video 1-3 I said folks don't throw grenades at you. But I said that, and it is kind of true, because they take their time, you know, building up to throwing grenades at you, for sure. But what's going to inevitably happen is you're going to have a warden protected by a bastion, and the warden, being the hornwinder that he is, he's going to come up protected by the bastion, and you need to make sure that you're far away and all your stuff's regenerated. But until then, I need to make sure that I can come up here and try to see. I'm going to try to show you. I might even throw a grenade in there. That might be a good idea, because I think they're caught in a sort of programming where they can't come out unless I go up a certain way. But I'm hesitant to come up there. Why my reticence? Well, I don't want to just go up there and then have them demolish me when they come down, because we're talking about like 2 or 3 ultra elites. And by ultra elites, I just mean they throw grenades. That's it. They've got, I think, the same HP as the other ones. Maybe a little bit more defense, because the enemies have been getting better armor and stuff for themselves. But here they are right here. So these might just be like see? Finally throwing a grenade like 3 acts into the game. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm getting the fuck out of here. The claw's a great weapon too for mid-range combat, which this is going to end up being. My teammates are all stuck up here. I'm not sure why. Are they? I don't see them anywhere. Are they all hold up here? These fucking enemies, they're clipping on stuff. Very frustrating. Because I don't know where they are, so I'm going to have to use Pulse and just see where they are. See, they're clipping on this. They can't move. God damn it. Why couldn't that be a little bit better? Sad. Really sad. When does the Bastion and the Warden spawn? I'm pretty sure when everybody besides them are dead. So you'll kill these 3 and then you'll have him. So you probably won't have any other enemies with the Warden and the Bastion. But if you were to put a shock trap at the end of this facility, like I think I might be doing, you might be able to neutralize that Bastion. But we've got rocket launcher at the top for ultimate insurance about winning this fight, which is a pretty challenging fight. We're getting some terrific help from Jack. Thank you, Jack. Yeah, they must have a little bit more HP, which is good. They should. Okay, so take down the 2 crawlers, and you'll hear that ominous horn-winding Warden music coming up. I think they just spawn. They don't come up from a lift. There's no lift down there. They just spawn. Here they are. Fortunately, it's not anything else. I mean, the Warden is just a melee enemy, so it's just you need to focus on that Bastion, and you need to make sure that everything is ready for you. But what's inevitably going to happen is that Bastion, for as slow as he is, he does make up somehow with some faster steps. So I'm going to come all the way up here, and I need to make sure that I can regenerate my flash in time so I can flash him and then rocket him. But see how slow this is? And of course, it's ultra slow when this fucker is up here close to me, and I need to get out of the way. So I need to stim and then move past him. See, he's mantling so I can move back. He's going to fuck up my team very badly up here, like some X-rated carnage up here. And it's pretty good because the teammates are decent at reviving themselves, but I was shocked that they were all able to keep reviving the others. But I'm still waiting for this to regenerate. And there is a flashbang down here. I was too deer in the headlights scared about this fucking warden to even notice what was on the ground over there. But look how easy this is. Just freeze him, and then a few rockets to the head, and he's dead. There might be something else, too, at the end of this, because I seem to remember that there was something else, but let's take a look. In an anticlimactic move, they do spawn some juvies, I think, on the heels of his death, which is strange. And they're all, spazzing out, so it's a bizarre fight. You've got enemies clipping all over the place, and these things doing that, so very strange. But the fight is done. I'm gonna, reconnoiter the environment, get all the good shit for myself, give my teammates nothing because they don't need anything. Come on in here, and make sure you grab the component before you interact with the panel, because if you do the latter before the former, you'll only have a brief amount of time to do the former. And it's usually 3. Usually what you get is 3 if it's out in the open. And we have a couple more things to do. And then immediately after this is probably the worst part in the entire game. It took me about 5 attempts. And maybe a little bit more. Maybe 5. It was not more than... It was between 5 and 10. And it's just horrendous. Horrendous. Utterly just dog shit. Uncharted 1 on Brutal... Chapter 7 sort of nonsense, but not as bad as that. Like, nothing is as bad as that, but still, it's utter dog shit. Because what it is just more of what you did before about avoiding those dark tornadoes, but it's longer, so you have to keep moving, and they keep spawning right in front of you seemingly, and there's just, the skiff is not mobile enough to move. It just can't strafe away fast enough, so it's just a recipe for you just getting either having beginner's luck, which I didn't have except on the first half of it, which we did earlier, but this one I had no beginner's luck. This was all me getting shat on the entire time for 5 to 10 times. You have to keep listening to the dialogue too, which is horrible. Paddock yelling at Kate and stuff like that. Over and over and over again. But see how far you have to go? And you have no idea where they're spawning. So just keep your eyes, like when you're driving, just flit your eyes around constantly. Be scanning ahead constantly all over the place for those tornadoes. And don't worry about anything else. It's just those tornadoes that if you get in them, you're just dead. There's no recovering from it. And then you can, rest assured that you don't have to do that part anymore. Unless if you come back to have to do that Condor section, have to do that again, you might want to kill yourself. So that's why I said definitely do that Condor first if you're trying to complete everything. And then we have just a couple of tertiary fights at the end over here. Pretty simple stuff. But damn, this chapter was fucking long, wasn't it? God damn it all. Making these videos too is just, it can be so complicated to have all the video tracks, all the audio tracks, all the different levels of everything. But I'm gonna quickly come up here and I'm gonna freeze the sign because this is on a timer. You need to do this quickly. So freeze him, take him out with as powerful of artillery as you have. Don't worry about those. Just come over here, pick up the salvos, and aim at the thing right there. I'm not, some kind of a bracket or what is it called? I don't know what it is. But anyway, I got killed over there for some reason too. I'm not sure why I got killed, but I got my save point, so I had to abruptly edit the video to make it seem like I was still in the same area, even though I did get my checkpoint. So you've got some juvies over here and then one pouncer. So I'm going to quickly try to dispose of this because no one likes pouncers. It's a boring enemy. I hate them. I just hate them. They're difficult. They have too much health, and they're way too difficult. They're not like gunker level of garbage. Remember the gunkers? Throwing shit at you from miles away in Gears 3 and having to play that game in floaty 30 frames per second. I will redux all the Gears games if I can get an Xbox One, and if I can ensure that those games are in 60. I'm never playing Gay of War Judgment again unless that game is at 60, and then I will do another guide for it. And then I'll delete it when I can't beat the final boss. But I find that when I play at a higher frame rate, it's a little bit better, you know. You can react better. But we're quickly winding down now. You've just got a bunch of Imagos to deal with as you return back to the skiff, and the chapter ends quite abruptly with one of the kills. You'll just kill one of the last enemies, and you'll get the title card for the next video. So what I think ends up happening is I headshot somebody, and then like that's the last thing that happens, and then we just cut to the next chapter. So it will be abrupt. But I didn't want to leave you abruptly, and I just wanted to mention, like, get the fuck out of my way, you fucking fat-ass bastard. Shit. Like, it never ends with people getting in your way. But I just wanted to wish you, you know, warm regards as we, you know, continue our campaign on this game. And you might say, why do you want to cover Inconceivable if you have to do this garbage? You know, the bloated second and third acts? Well, maybe I'll just do the first and fourth act. I have no clue. I have no clue, but I'm going to leave you with it, and I will see you in the next video. Please enjoy the rest of the video, and please remember to take care.